Thanks for stopping by Big Top Gaming. My name's Brian.
And I'm Ethan.
And today we've got a sweet battle report with Cognifex Cyphon and the Wanderer.
So, like Brian said, I'm playing Cyphon this week. I got the good Doctor, 4 Wreckers, and 1 Warden. I got 3 Agitators, 2 of them are a Wreck option. Pistol Wraith is a Wreck option. Void Archon, and then 2 Dominator units. Attached to the Dominators, I got a unit of Kayazy Eliminators for some anatomical precision. They give me some free focus because monstrosities get free focus whenever they're damaged by an attack. And then I got a unit of Resolutes, and then a min unit of Mindbender and Drudges.
And for my Wanderer list, I'm playing in Bump in the Night. I'm bringing Baron, 2 Clockatrice, 1 Skin and Moans, and a Gorehound, 2 Trapperkin, a Grave Ghoul, a unit of Murder Crows that I will be ambushing, a unit of Nayslayers with their Warhorse, 2 Madcaps, 1 Malady Man, and a unit of Hollowmen with Holden. So this list is just like, I didn't want to play the exact heretic list that I prefer to play. I wanted to kind of mix it up a little bit and bring some Hollowmen along, and I think Murder Crows are super great with the Wanderer.
So I ended up winning the role to go first, and I decided, of course, to go first because I knew I didn't want his Starcross bubble to get up the board, because if Wanderer runs turn 1, that Starcross bubble is going to affect the entire zone. So I knew it was risky on scenario, but I just, with map 5 monstrosities, 7 with the instigators, I just couldn't risk it. The good Doctor walks up, he gets the juices flowing, so that ends up getting focused to 4 monstrosities, and Cyphon actually allocated 3. Sounded like you were going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say that I'd lost even with my reroll from Bump, but the deal for me was like I actually was aiming to go for second turn because I knew that with this scenario, I had a lot of opportunity to score because my list can go a little bit wider than Ethan's can. So I think overall, Ethan picked the lesser of the 2 poisons, but I got what I wanted either way.
Yeah, it was damned if I do, damned if I don't, and I just decided to try and get up the board as fast as I could. Cyphon, before he charged, he put up Perseverance on the Resolutes, and he put up Onslaught on himself, and then here's something cute. I had the Dominator from the Resolutes run in front of a Wrecker. Instigator walks up, instigates, and then I actually trample my own Dominator, because I just want to kill him turn 1. This was questionable, because it's always iffy. I don't boost a hit because I started in his butt, so I just need not snakes, basically. And then I end up boosting damage because it's dice -3. Actually, dice -5 with Perseverance, and I kill. So now that unit has to run next turn, but I didn't want him to snipe him out because he doesn't have Sack Pawn, doesn't really have any protection. But I was worried a Clockatrice spray that went in, Assault Spray would hit him, kill him, and like you lose the unit like turn 3 or 4.
And it's also worth mentioning that unit is Murder Crowed right now, or that's the Murder Crow prey target. So even you would eventually just get to a point to where you really couldn't put him in a place where they couldn't reach you. So losing that guy when I want it to be lost would be just really devastating for a big, expensive do-work unit like the Resolutes.
Yeah, I mean, they're only 13 points, so it's not terrible, but like I just can't risk you taking out on an opportunity, because like here I'm going to miss probably some opportunities to move and shoot turn 2 because it is next activation, and they already activated because I didn't want to promote the leader and then have him walk, which might have been smarter, but I just really didn't want to risk anything. And then there everything's just pretty much running up, and that's turn 1.
So I've tried to do a bunch of, not so much reading, but just like looking at the Wanderer's cards over and over and over again, because I know that Wanderer is a little bit more of a technical Defier for Warlock, or for not for Warlocks. I was just gonna call him Warlock, but whatever. I think he's a little bit more technical for Grimkin, so like there's a lot to deal with, and not to mention that I'm just not super familiar with how to unpack Grimkin in general. So I kind of have an idea of what I want to do. It's a lot like what I had said earlier. I want to try and position myself to where I can score as many points on the bottom of 2 as I can, and I don't want to give up too many things to Cognifex's feet. I kind of got my 13-inch stick out there trying to figure out where I can safely put things, and I don't mind if Ethan wants to charge into some Cask Imps or something, because I'm just going to keep cranking those out every turn, and if he wants to shoot him with something like a Pistol Wraith or something, it means that the Pistol Wraith isn't shooting things that I actually care about. So really these guys are just trying to flood and be annoying. Otherwise, the Trapper can go up and trap right away, or do trapdoor right away. These things I kind of want to... I probably could have just ran with them to get them into an interesting place, but because the Resolutes are just kind of like muted for the turn. But I don't think that Ethan would be super opposed to grabbing a Trapperkin with a Wrecker or something.
And you gotta respect the Void Archon walking and spraying.
Yeah, I can't just like give them up. So otherwise, I'm trying to just get... enough pieces into good defensive spots. That wall on my side is really going to help out. The gist with the bottom of the screen is that I plan on having the Murder Crows come in and do some stuff over there, because the Resolutes are going to be kind of cranking around over there. I didn't really have the greatest place to put my prey for these guys, because there's a rock on the bottom edge of the table and a forest on the top edge, so no matter what, I'm not really getting anything where I want to. But there's always that objective there, so they'll have a job that way regardless. And then the Clockatrice just kind of positions across from the objective as well in case it needs to unpack into it to get it down. I feel like in general my pieces are in the right areas of the table, but they might not be in the specifically correct places. Like the list is really hard to unpack. You want to make sure that the Wanderer is covering as much as you can with Star-Crossed, but not being too vulnerable to some early assassinations or damage. Typically, I think the Wanderer's essentially immune to most assassination runs, but if you try and like nickel and dime him, that's where things get really rough for him, because you can't take advantage of all of his arcana. And speaking of those...
I was about to say, what did you pick?
I know. I of course picked Divergent Path because I have to. I also picked Ruin because I know that Cognifex has some really nice spells. Like, I don't want him putting out a bunch of Breath Stealers on units that I want them to not be on, like my Nayslayers. And I also took Ill Omens, which I think is a super, like, I feel like it's an under the radar arcana, because that thing is nasty. And maybe my perspective's tilted with the Wanderer, because the Wanderer plus the Star-Crossed plus Ill Omens is just bonkers good. So this is kind of where I've ended up for the turn, and you can see I'm going to clog up on myself a little bit, but I'm not too worried about it.
So top of 2, I know I need to contest some zones, but I don't have a lot of throwaway pieces. Like the top zone, I could maybe throw away one of the Kayazy, but they don't have Pathfinder, which I learned midway through my turn.
Yeah, I've been playing Khador for so long that it's just like they can jump over buildings and bound over people's heads, but as soon as they hit some brush, they're tripped up.
Yep. So I upkeep Perseverance. I start measuring some clock threats, and I'm okay with Cyphon camping 0 because he has Sack Pawn Monstrosity, and I believe I asked this turn if he had any damaging spells, which you don't.
Yeah, the Repudiate's the closest I can get to a damaging spell, but I don't have nukes that can just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, so
the Wanderer just has a melee weapon, and that's really only how he does damage outside of Repudiate.
So as long as I'm outside threat of the melee threat of his heavies, I'm pretty safe with Cyphon, and there I end up allocating a couple, and I'm camping 4, so I just hand out some focus just to try and start the build up, because I don't think I'm going to get plunked. And there I'm just measuring some ambush threats, because I know he's coming on the bottom, but I just need to be careful in case he doesn't.
Yeah,
the
you
old
don't
bait
wanna,
and switch.
Yeah, you don't want to give me anything good on that other side. So at least this way you can control the ambush, especially with that rock there.
Yep. Kayazy walk up. They start punching some dodos in the butt. With anatomical, they're doing pretty good. No damage, so I do 1 to the 1. I do 1 to the 1. I punch, do 1 to the 2 with the Dominator. And then this Kayazy just cranks damage and does 4.
Yeah, that was
at dice -8, so
very
that's
painful.
fun. I love slowly killing my own mouths for you just to fuel them.
Yeah, it makes things easier for me for sure since I'm a little more pillow-fisted.
I mean, monstrosities don't have that great of stats. They have 36
No,
boxes.
That's their big thing, right?
But their armor's 17.
Yeah.
It's like...
I think they probably could have been like at that 18-19 range and been fine.
The good doctor walks up, gets the juices flowing, hands out another 4 focus. Like, he is a godsend for this list. Like, I don't know how Cephalyx functioned before him.
Agitators had to punch guys. That was really what it was.
And, like, you need those agitators forward. Then you have to waste points on overlords.
Yep.
And it's like, for a wreck option, he literally feels stuff more than overlords.
Yeah, he's a really solid piece for Cephalyx. He doesn't quite get them up to that, like, above C average, I think, but I think he definitely pulled them up from being, like, not super hot.
Mm-hmm.
It is worth noting that I have Fog of War and Star-Crossed up right now, so that's something that Ethan has to work around.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing, because I don't want cast imps exploding on my heavies at dice -3.
Yeah, they hurt.
So I end up putting up a pistol wraith. He just tries to punk a couple guys, get some souls. Because I know he doesn't have that many magic attacks, but there's a clock spray. So, like, if he wants to, he can get a clock spray on me. So I end up getting 2 souls, so I'm sitting pretty good for next turn, and I'm in the trench.
I did realize that the Grave Ghoul's weapon is magical too, so like this army has a decent amount of magical weapons. It's just not able to apply them in the best ways.
If a Grave Ghoul is punching my pistol wraith, like, I think I'm fine with that.
Yep, you're either fine with it or you've lost the game.
Yep. So their Void flies over, sprays a dude, kills, gets the soul, teleports behind the rock, I want to say.
Yeah, I think that's where you ended up, just to be safe.
Yep, just to be safe from some ambushers. Resolutes run. I get 1 into the zone, and then I realize that's the leader, and I don't want him up there just in case some promotion shenanigans. So I run dudes up, staying behind the acid pool. I don't have Pathfinder, but I have Onslaught, so I'm just trying to plan for maybe next turn. And I know, like, that clock is probably getting into that zone. I'm hoping a Perseverance dude and the objective can maybe live through a clock, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, Perseverance on those guys. Any armor buff on Resolutes makes them pretty difficult to deal with.
I mean, they're 17 up to 19, so, like, maybe if, like, it was against Infernals.
Yeah, anyone who can't, like, my list just doesn't pump damage. Like, if I get corpses with the Skin and Moans, I top out at, like, 19, and that's the best, the absolute best I can get.
They hit and pretty much auto-kill my dudes.
Yeah. But that's after I get 3 corpses. Other than that, they're dice off 3 each time. So, like, yeah, they could get there.
Cognifex
it's not easy.
Actually went up, and he sacked a Drudge to get a 15-inch range Gallows on the Madcap. And I was trying to bait out Ruin. I boost the hit, and I miss. So that was fun.
Yeah, defense 13 up to 15 against your ranged attack or ranged and magic attacks is really harsh. It's hard to hit.
I mean, I needed a boosted 8.
Yeah.
And I rolled a 6. I was hoping to boost damage. I thought they were lower def. But then, yeah. So there I'm just going up towing, staying outside of range of the Skin and Moans and the clock. Because without, like, Fury and stuff, you guys are a little pill-fisted, but I'm 100% confident they can one round a Wrecker.
I don't think it's completely out of the question, no.
No. Especially with Beacon and free charges. And I can't really alpha your heavies, because if you just keep putting the markers in front of them, as soon as I go in,
back away.
Yeah, they take a free strike, but who cares?
Mm-hmm. 1 free strike's better than a stack of focus.
Yep.
Fortunately, I've got my stuff out of position to where I don't need to worry about that just because they're out of threat range, but those markers wouldn't have helped me much either. They wouldn't have helped me right now just because, like, most of my heavies are boxed in. Like that Skin and Moans, he can't go nowhere.
No.
So when I first played this scenario, I really didn't respect it as a very scoreable scenario just because it seems like there's a lot of things that it requires of you in order to... It feels like you have to stretch yourself thin. But with this list, I've got a couple of things that are going in my favor with like the extended control on the Gorehounds and the fact that I can keep the Wanderer in the middle and not have to worry so much about it. So the Murder Crows do come in on that side. It's not that I've taken the bait of the Resolute, it's just that my goal is to clear that zone and get that objective. So even if it takes all 6 of them to take this Resolute down, that's a perfectly fine deal for me, no matter what I'm giving up for them. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm kind of hemming and hawing on, which I did find out it is hem as in like H-E-M, and I always say him and haw. So that was interesting. But I'm just trying to figure out how I need to unpack things here in order to make this happen for me. So my Trapperkins come up, and I think this is where I just kind of go back and forth on where exactly I want him to be. I'd like to try and get him into a place to where he can charge that Resolute that's in the circle zone without getting corroded just because I'm being greedy about it. So I think I get him in a spot where I feel like I can make that happen. The other Trapperkin ends up pulling out more towards the bottom zone because I do want to try and make sure I've got every opportunity to take out that objective. And if I can save my Clockatrice from having to go in there and do that themselves, then I feel good about that.
And I think we did miss where the Wanderer teleported up to one of the stupid wayposts.
Yeah, I think a couple times in the video, because like the Wanderer has like it's not that he has a lot of stuff to do, it's just that there's a lot of things to do in this list in the control and maintenance phase. Like I will continually forget to apparate my my Hollowmen, but then I end up doing it during their activation anyways, just because that's how we roll.
That's how you roll.
Well, it's how I roll, yeah. Hey, I give you plenty of opportunities.
I know.
So what the hell am I doing now?
You pooped out a cast imp so you could spray it and beacon my heavy.
So this is where things, I might be getting too much stuck in my head here. My cast imps are, it's going to take me forever to figure out where to put these and how to move them around to where the rest of my army doesn't get chunked up on them, especially when there's a huge piece of burning earth next to me that's just going to roast my guys. So I decide to get crispy with the Wanderer, and he's in the middle of the zone now, just behind the flag that's behind a cask imp, and he beacons the cask imp that's in the cloud so that I can hit the wrecker that's on the backside. I figure I can get a free charge with that Gorehound if he's not likely to just take it out, but there's definitely some damage that could come at him that I think that the Nayslayers would appreciate not having to do themselves, so I can keep some of them back a little further for later, especially since that burning earth is kind of really dictating where they can go.
And the Bushwhack Animus is so nice for Wanderer. The teleport up, activate, spray, and then walk backwards, which is like, I can't stop it.
Yeah, the lurker from the Skin and Moans is the Animus that he gets, because he gets Pathfinder out of it too, which is really important. Not for this game so much, but just in general. So yeah, I feel like the war beasts that I take in here, I don't take the Skin and Moans for damage dealing, I take them for the Animus, and the kind of the same thing with the Gorehound, but the clocks are the ones that I'm taking for damage output, and the Skin and Moans just happens to be a decent heavy.
I mean, just happens
to be.
I mean, he was arguably best war beast, and then the clock came out.
Yeah. So in the bottom zone, it only took 3 Murder Crows to take out the Resolute. So I decide I kind of go against my own thoughts here and say I'm just going to unpack the Clockatrice into the objective and get it out of there instead of just throwing the Trapperkin in. I think it had to do with the fact that the Murder Crows are only POW 9 against the objective, so they didn't really do a whole lot to it. And since the Trapperkin's also POW 9, I was kind of feeling a little like not super yippy about it. So the clock ends up coming short. I think he left it on 1 box since he had to do most of the work to it.
Yep, he was dice off 4 boosted.
Yeah, it was not super great for him. But then the Trapperkin gets to unpack and do what he wants and sprint away. But I kind of finagle that and say I'm gonna get behind the Clockatrice now, and then we're like, can we make it that far? No, probably not. This is what happens when you eyeball stuff. So I get him back to where he really should be. And it's really, I just wanted him to be back here because I do value Trapperkins as offensive pieces, especially counter pieces. So having him in a place where he's protected makes me feel a lot better about his existence. Next up, we're going to go and try and get rid of this Wrecker in the top zone. And I can't remember if the pull on the tongue is optional or not.
It is, and it's equal base.
Gotcha.
This is where I tell you can't
the
pull me
equal
anyway.
base. So I didn't want to deal with it, so I just got him in base anyways. And I ended up walking and boosting the damage roll instead of charging, but I forgot that I had the whole reason why the Wanderer was where he was because of Beacon. So like I should have just charged him and then had some extra Fury hanging around. I decided to not do that and just boost a bunch of damage rolls into him. And I think we do a decent amount to the Wrecker. Not a ton of damage, but it softened him up a little bit to make the heavy lifting for the Nayslayers not so rough. So we decide to unpack the Nayslayers now. The little like war prayer battle thing that the horse gives them. We're going to go for parry and annoyance just because annoyance combined with Starcrossed is just really gross on them. I think they go up to defense 14, and I feel like 12 is the point for Starcrossed where you get annoying, and 14 is where you get not impossible to hit, but you really have to put in some good resources to take care of it.
Especially when my stuff is map 5 before Instigators.
Yeah, I think that actually is a Cask Imp that's doing something now. Something else is up there. Some solo's going in and doing work. Oh, it's the monkey.
Yeah,
That's
the monkey
what it was.
charged the back.
I decided to start my Malady Man on fire because I'm not seeing a whole lot of value out of him for this game. So I'm fine with it. I feel like he can probably shake that fire off and not worry too much about it. But now we go with the Nayslayers. We get I think it was two Nayslayer grunts and then the Warhorse in there, and they end up doing a decent chunk of damage to it just within the first couple charges.
Yeah, their dice -2 because I'm only armor 17, so I go down to 9.
Yeah, it was really rough, and the last one just cracked it in half. So the Wrecker goes out of there, and that is important because, oh no, that's right. The last one came up one box short because he rolled a 7, and then I was close enough to get the reroll from Knowledge of the Damned because one of my pistol Wraith was killing Cask Imps, which gave me corpses for them, and that allowed me to reroll that last charge and get enough to kill the Wrecker. So that was really clutch and allows me to score that zone without having to put any extra effort into it.
Yeah, there's not much I can do. Like, if I kill Cask Imps, I give you free corpses. If I don't, you kill them yourself. So, like,
yeah,
there's no way to stop you from getting corpses.
Yeah, I don't get them off of them killing themselves, or off the temperamental explosion thing.
But his explosion killing like 5 other Cask Imps that are next to him gives you free corpses.
Mm-hmm.
And then there you're trying to get a free charge on me with the Cask Imp or the Trapperkin. I was like, no, that Wrecker is going to murder you with a free strike.
Yeah, we were trying here. I think I had to get a little creative with Ethan is piloting my project army of Cephalyx. I love Cephalyx so much, and I think they're fun to paint. They're really cool looking. So I've got this like project army that's been stuffed in my closet for a while. So like Ethan told me I want to play Cyphon, and I was like, okay, well I'm just gonna grab this army out of the box and hope that it's in one piece.
Yeah, because I have a Cyphon army too. It's just unbuilt.
Yeah, so
I got it pre-COVID, and it was my pet project, and then like I just lost all will to ever play it.
Well, it's a fun list. Like, don't get me wrong, and I love Cephalyx in general. I really like Thexus a lot, but it's just there's so many other things I've got going on with Warmachine painting projects that it's really hard to find the time to get to anything like this. So they're on like proxy bases and everything. They're just really funky.
Oh, this is a good turn to talk about. You were thinking about trying to get a Cask Imp on Cyphon,
Christ.
and then I point out they can't go through the flag because it's a model.
Yeah, Cask Imp's 101. The flag is a model, so you can't go through it because you'll just blow up as soon as you hit it.
Yep.
So that was fun.
So stupid.
It just kind of shut off another Cask Imp, which I wasn't super happy about. So I decided to curve him off into that Resolute that's in the circle zone. He ended up coming up just a little short. He rolled a 5, which is the best he could do. But that's it. I think we might have had the battery die on the camera here. So last up, so the Hollowmen just apparated forward and decided to take a bunch of shots. Holden rolled
the weaken ability.
So I ended up taking 5 points off the Void Archon with
a
big
6
points with a CRA. And
with
then
a 3-man.
Yeah, it was rough. And then I weakened like
everything on that side.
Five other models. It was pretty decent. Like Holden is cool. not probably something I'd reach for every time, but it was definitely fun to like use that ability and get what I wanted when I wanted it.
The big thing is you did miss the wrecker that's behind the pool. That is the 1 mile not weekend on that side. So going into my turn, I'm down. He scored 4 points.
4 flipping points.
Yep. So
I did
that
not
was rough.
I did not expect that.
I didn't either. I knew you'd make a push, but this was really bad. And there I'm trying to measure the void if you can fly over, because that's a nice spray line for me.
Yeah, it sure is. It's like I've seen it from this angle. It's so weird when you try to set these things up and you're just like, I hope I don't like go off on this spray for the Void Archon, and then I'm seeing it from here now and I'm just like, man, that's like bowling with the little bumpers on the guardrails, whatever they call those. I think they're bumpers.
Yeah, the bumper rails. As soon as you like move the Hollowmen up, I'm like, that's Spray City.
What I should have done was paid more attention to how much damage I could do to the Void Archon and just try to walk them up for far enough to kill it. But I just was like, I'll just weaken a bunch of stuff. It'll be fun.
So now I'm doing allocation. I'm upkeeping Perseverance and I need Onslaught. So that leaves me with 5.
I think that I repudiated the Onslaught off you last turn. Oh, okay.
Spoilers. But not yet. So I'm trying to decide what to allocate. The top wrecker's full. I end up giving one... Or no, you repudiated Onslaught off.
Yeah, that's turn. Turn, or your last turn I repudiate Onslaught off because I want to force you to cast it. Like, Cyphon wants a lot of spells, so I don't want you to have to always have that.
Yep, so I kept... I believe I'm sitting on 5. So I only gave out 1. So that wrecker that's next to Cyphon is sitting on 3. And then the other one's just sitting on 2. Because I need Onslaught for 2, and I need something else for 2. So I think I'm sitting on 4. So I gave 2 focus out. So that bottom wrecker's only on 2 focus. And there I'm measuring some empathetic
overloads.
Empathetic overload. Because if it hits a friendly model, if I target a friendly model, it auto hits AoE 4, auto power 12. So like that kills ponies and the monkey auto. So I'm trying to figure out what I can get up to that proxy template. I can't use a Kayazy because even though it auto hits, they're stealthed, and there I'm measuring if I could walk and get stealth range. Because this edition, auto miss trumps auto hit. But I realize if I go up that far, I'm in melee threat of a clock.
And you don't want to do that.
No.
Cyphon doesn't have the stats to support that kind of a charge.
No, he's 13-17, and if you can't paralyze me because I can sack pawn the spray, but like your dice -3, and I'm going to be camping pretty low this turn.
Yep, and with Beacon, I just get the charge for free. So, especially with the position of all of my road markers right now, like I'll just be able to get Cyphon wherever he goes.
Yep. And there, I realized luckily, I'm like, wait, if I go there and get everything, that's in ruin range, so you'll ruin it and stop me. So, like, that's not good. So I have to tuck the template in, or the proxy base in, so I won't catch the Nayslayer that's in the circle zone.
Yeah, I think you're also you got to try and thread that needle with Starcrossed and respect that a little bit too.
Well, I mean, for this, I
guess
because
you
I
auto hit. Yeah, never mind.
So I know the only thing that can get over there is a Pistol Wraith, but I don't want to give up my Pistol Wraith because that's my one big contest piece.
Yeah, it's a good endgame piece for you. The Clockatrice spray makes things a little weird, but still, it's not something. It's something that I'd have to spend a big activation to deal with. And
it's at that point now where I'm starting to get enough corpses or souls where I could boost and maybe stationary something, which is pretty big for my Mat 5, Mat 7 stuff under Starcrossed if I can stay out of Starcrossed and shoot. So I'm going a lot of back and forth because I really, really, really do not want to give up that Pistol Wraith. So that's why I've kind of moved on from the left side. And then...
And I think you're also trying to figure out how to properly bait some of the Arcana that I have out. Because I think you want me to not have Ruin in the later game. So you're trying to figure out ways that you can make sure that I can, or trying to make me to pop it early.
Mm-hmm. And there is an Instigator. He has Pathfinder. He walked through the woods and he's towing the zone up there. So he did Agitate. So I got that ready to go. And then there, Pistol Wraith does the run as much as I hate it. And then I'm just trying to measure where I can go. And I think I'm pretty safe where I am. I'm just out of threat. But I want to start maybe siphoning towards that top zone because there's a lot of stuff on the bottom. And I'd like to try and maybe push the top zone with Siphon eventually. So I sack a Drudge to get the +5 range. So I auto-hit my dude for 3. Just kills everybody in there.
And this is the damage roll you blew up on the Gorehound. He's only defense or armor 13, so like you end up doing a full his body worth +1, I think.
Yep. And I did 6 to the Nayslayer UA, so that was pretty nice. 6
instead of 8, so I can at least be thankful for that. But I wasn't close enough with the Grave Ghoul to collect any of the corpses, so he's still kind of sitting on his 1 corpse right now, and I didn't want to force the reroll on any of those damage rolls.
Yeah, because I got a wrecker going
exactly,
up in there.
So I want to try and preserve that for later.
So Siphon feats, and I think this was a mistake because there's a few heavies in the middle that don't need the buff, but they're going to be taking damage. And there, Siphon just tried to spray a Nayslayer and missed because he's Rat 6, and I'm out of Starcrossed, but it still hurt. I ended up rolling damage on my Pistol Wraith, killed him luckily, otherwise he'd be in the way. And then, that Warden that's next to me and the Wrecker, they should have went first because I don't need the feet buff from them. Because
they're not unpacking.
The monstrosities only take the damage from the feet if they haven't activated yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, I believe...
I think you're trying to figure out,
this is
math-wise with the focus. What do I need to do? Do I have to charge? Can I walk and do this? And I think it was...
This is me trying to kill the Nayslayer UA. Because I realized I can't
with
fit...
the Kayazy, gotcha. Yep.
I can't fit a large base between them and be in the zone.
Yep. And this is where you learn that they don't have Pathfinder.
Yep. And then I can get 1 on them, because thanks to acrobatics and parry. And then the other runs just to get gang, and
is in the bag zone.
Yep.
And I believe they're out of Starcross too, so that works for you.
No, this lady is in Starcross.
She is in Starcross.
She needs Starcross 5s, and then you force a reroll.
Yeah, she's just she had a mission, and it was to hit that warhorse.
Yep. And I did not combo strike because I wanted to get 2 chances.
Yeah, because at least it's 2 1-point damage roll or 1-point damage hits. So that's all you needed to get him out of there. I do get the corpse back, so I can be thankful for that at least.
Yep.
And my Gorehound for right now is still among us, but that is probably about to change.
Yep. So there we measure. I am just out of Starcrossed.
Yep. Which is bad for me because that Gorehound's 13, and that's really good for a Mat 5.
So
dude.
here, I punched the objective with my initial, rolled an 11, and I should have, I didn't realize I was dice +4 because I forgot about the Instigator buff, so that should have one-shot it. So I took my second initial, bought and boosted into the Gorehound, and then I boosted damage because I thought I just needed a 5 when really I just needed a 3.
Mm-hmm.
Because I forgot Instigators get +2 hit and damage, so he's swinging at POW 22 right now under feet.
Yeah, they hit like trucks. It's just they don't exist much beyond that.
No, and then there I took a free 6 points from the feet, so with the damage rolls I did on him earlier, he's not quite quarter healthed, but I'd say he's taken a fifth of his health.
Yeah, he's taken some hits, and it's worth noting that he is in that zone, and I don't have anything else in there.
Yep, so that scores me 2 from the objective in the top zone. And then here I'm measuring some stuff to be cute. My second agitator that's there walks up, punches the Warden in the butt, actually cranks damage and actually does 2 points through my feet. Gets him a focus. The good doctor walks up, pumps the juices, can only get to him, but this is where the Warden walks up. He's contesting the flag, and I'm going to try and 2-hand throw and boost this... dude Nayslayer into another Nayslayer to kill him, and then this is where I'm literally a fraction of an inch out of instigate range.
But you're also in Starcross too, so I forced the reroll with Knowledge of the Damned, and you do miss.
I miss and would have hit with instigate. So now I'm a lot more concerned because I thought that top wrecker was only going to eat 2 charges. Because I'm if I throw this guy straight away, I'll auto hit the other dude. My strength check, this POW 13, it will auto kill both of them.
Yep.
So I was but being just a hair out of instigate really screwed that plan. So now I'm trying to send in the other wrecker. I don't want to hit his markers because that just triggers a free move and then I'll die if a heavy moves 2 inches closer. And then I realized that Warden also moved just a fraction out of 3 inches, so I can't sack pawn to him anymore.
Which makes the Clockatrice really dangerous to Cyphon because you are within threat to get sprayed for sure.
Yes. So I can't do anything with that other wrecker, so he walks up, just takes some swings.
Yeah, I think this is into the Trapperkin that scored the flag.
Yep, he boosts the hit and kills, and then he takes 6 points. This is where like he should have went first.
Yep, and this is important. I put up Ill Omens here. It's very worth noting that Ill Omens affects the whole table, not just your control. So you have to lose a warrior model in your control, but then every single one of your opponent's models suffers -1 to hit and damage.
Yep, and this is where you pointed out it's the entire control. Like I thought it was just, or entire board, I thought it was control. Because those Resolutes, if they can kill that bottom, what's it called, Murder Crow, then the Void could fit and be in that perfect spot to spray down the entire unit. But now instead he has to go that way and spray Hollowmen.
Yep.
So he catch 7 models.
Yeah, this was really rough on my part.
But now Ill Omens puts me down to Rat 5.
Yep, and that makes them... You need 7s to hit now, and I feel a little bit more comfortable with that.
And with the first... I have 2 souls on me, so I boost the first 2. Hit, auto kills. Boost the second one. Hits. And now I just hard roll 7s.
Yeah, I think you wipe out the whole pile of guys there. Like it just wasn't anything.
It was pretty fun. So
it was a good swing for you. Like the Hollowmen, as much as I don't appreciate them, they do work when you got those big CRAs running around.
Mm-hmm. There he teleports to get deeper into the zone and melee with the clock. I boost the hit, I boost damage, and I do 10 to the 1, which is exactly enough for a place. Just
enough to get my time stutter to go off. So I back up, and this was maybe in the wrong direction. I probably should have hopped to the other side of the zone. But it's funny because I had hit you with the weaken shot, but the weaken only works on living models.
Yep.
So like if the weaken worked, it would have been good for you. But since it didn't, it was good for me. So now my guy's perfectly fine.
Yep, because I didn't allocate... So that bottom record doesn't have 3 focus, he only has 2. I had thought the Void with 2 boosted melee damage rolls into him because I didn't think I'd proc Stutter on the first swing.
Yeah.
But that's just how Stutter goes. It either does nothing or it saves your heavy. Those Resolutes go up, they miss every attack.
Yeah, they didn't do real hot over there.
And then there, I'm trying to see how far I can charge and try and get out of Starcross, but it's impossible. And so that's where I can go. And then I got to measure where my Instigator or Agitator can go. And then he has the distance, luckily, because he's speed 6 to walk around. Get in the 5. Let's see here.
This was just some Drudge stuff to try and get the extra focus on him.
Yep, so Drudge walked up, punched him in the back. Dice -9. Rolled a 9. And then I arc the AoE through him. Auto hits, but it doesn't break armor. So I have to charge. 1 for the charge because monstrosities don't charge for free. Boost the hit through Starcrossed. Luckily hit. And I should have been dice +4. Because you're 18 effectively with the Ill Omens and I'm 22. And then...
I'm 19 with Ill Omens.
Yeah. So dice +3.
Yep.
So I took out another system and...
And I'm on enough boxes to where the damage boost wouldn't have been that big of a difference, but...
And I took my second initial and missed under Starcross. I didn't have the focus the boost. Otherwise, I think I killed the clock.
Okay, so I haven't lost enough to really feel like I can't untie this game. Ethan scored 2, which is unfortunate. I feel like I probably could have been a little bit more proactive about contesting the top zone to make sure that he couldn't get that from me. But here I am. I need to score 3 points this turn in order to close the game out because with Ethan's feet up, I don't think that I can really push through enough to get the attrition to swing in my favor. It is worth noting that Clockatrice that had 2 down systems is now fully healed. Not fully healed, but his systems are all functional again because of the auto repair that he gets to do at the beginning of each turn. So perfect scenario for him. He's going to be able to do everything he wants to.
Yep.
So what I need to really be considering here is how to get as many points as I can to keep the pressure on Ethan. He had a pretty long turn, so I can start leveraging the clock against him, even though I had a pretty long turn too. So my big goals here are figuring out which zones are going to be easiest to work with. I think I can clear the bottom zone quite easily, and then that top zone I feel like I can get in as well. It's just that the middle zone is the weird one because there's 2 heavies sitting in that zone that are contesting that flag. I have no movement shenanigans to push Ethan's stuff around, and I don't have any real heavy hitters in the middle outside of the Skin and Moans that can really take out one of those heavies reliably. But it's just I need to figure out how to keep the game dragging and do enough work to where Ethan's just got to kind of go for like really not so great plans like those Hail Mary plans instead.
And there
of
you
going
can
for
see those
regular
cast
stuff.
imps going into me at dice minus 7.
7, and they were blown up pretty decent. I think most of them did like between 3 and 4
Or
damage.
dice off
each.
6.
Dice off 6. Yeah.
So like you did like 4, then you did 5. So I'm like, now this wrecker is pretty much 1/3 health.
Yeah, I figured going with the cast imps first was the easiest thing to do just to see what I can get. So the wrecker is not sitting pretty right now with all the like. I feel like that might have pushed a little bit more of my damage options over the edge to where they became unreliable to like kind of reliable.
Yeah, but I mean, with my feet auto-6ing and my attacks, I don't think I put any attacks into him to get focused because the juice fueling was just going. But I over-allocated the him, so like that extra focus really should have been on the bottom one. But
Yeah. So I'm working on trying to figure out where my Clockatrice is going to go. The goal for him is to clear the zone. So I assault spray into the wrecker and I hit, but I don't do any damage. So at least now I don't need any. I need not ones to hit him. And then I'm boosting my second and third initial into the Eliminators, and he ends up getting both of those Eliminators out of there. So I think the charge attack ended up doing a little bit of damage to the wrecker, but not a ton, I think.
it did decent at dice minus whatever it was.
6.
Yeah, dice minus 6. I think you did because you can see his grid. Like you took out one.
Yeah,
whole
it's
row.
not doing real great for him.
No.
So that zone, I now have a bird in it, so I can score it when the time comes around. I just need to get rid of this wrecker and then the agitator that's behind it. So I think now I'm going in with the madcaps, and I
Yeah.
decide to try and like throw an AoE out at the agitator. And they're stealth, so I auto miss. So I just have to try and hope that the deviation goes in a good direction for me to try and get some damage on him, and it doesn't. So this was kind of like I was trying to go for low effort kill here. Not low effort kill. I mean like low effort as it probably wasn't going to work, but if it did, it would be really cool. It just wasn't a big investment. So that's what they did. I forget to tap the cask on those guys, which is unfortunate, but I still just need to forge ahead, and I end up charging the wrecker with 3 Nayslayers. And the first couple do quite a bit of damage, and the last one's I think it's actually the first 2 take it out.
No, you needed the third one.
Oh, gotcha. So this is the fun one where I take the Grave Ghoul and charge the Agitator because it's one of the last few pieces I have over there, and I didn't need to use my knowledge of the damned reroll when I hit him. I grabbed him with an 11 when I needed like an 8, and then we roast him out of there. So my Grave Ghoul's in a weird spot now, but he got to do what he needed to do, which was just get that guy out of there. So now I'm scoring that top zone, and now Ethan and I are figuring that the Trapperkin can get behind the Void Archon and not take a free strike. So this is his glory moment of throwing 5 dice for damage, and that just rocks him out of there.
Yeah, I thought I positioned him. I didn't like. I eyeballed it. I didn't actually put down the thing in check, so I thought I was good, but I was not good.
Yep, so that was just a free deal for me. So now I need to try and get this. There's one Resolute in this upper corner of the bottom zone, and I'm trying to get him out of there. The original goal or idea was that I was going to put Repudiate onto the Resolutes, but I didn't do that. So the Murder Crows couldn't really do any damage to them, which is unfortunate. So now it just means that I need to do something else to get that one guy out of the zone. But I do have the tools left down there to do it. It's just that this isn't exactly how I wanted to go about getting that Resolute out of there. I wanted to try and use those Murder Crows so I didn't have to worry about unpacking some of the other tools and options that I have. Like, I just wanted another like low investment win.
Mm-hmm.
So the Clockatrice goes up. It just flies over and starts taking its tail into the Resolute. I think I was hoping that with just the one boosted attack I can get him, which I do, and Ethan does not tough, which is quite thankful.
I mean, you would have just bought an attack and killed him.
Exactly, but if I can get more damage on this Wrecker without having to invest anything from my Skin and Moans or the Hollowmen, then that's good for me too. So I always make this mistake whenever I play Hollowmen. I decide to charge with them because I'm like, they got brutal charge. They'll do all sorts of work. They're like dice off 9 against this Wrecker. They need miracles to do damage to him. So I go through the motions here. At least they're mat 5 and he's def 10, so I don't need to worry about hitting too much. And I think I do 1 damage out of all that. 1 damage is it. So like these guys probably would have been better off doing something different with their lives, maybe shooting an agitator or finding something else to do. But like they didn't perform with the melee there. Next up, I've got the Madcap going, and I think I crack out some Cast Imps. It's just one of them, but they get into places where they're blocking charges. Next up, I figure I've got the distance to get over to the Wrecker and then start bashing on it with the Skin and Moans. He's dice off 3, but I've got plenty of attacks and Fury to buy into it, and with the first 2 initials, he takes it off, which is important for a couple reasons, because both my Clockatrices are full up on Fury, and I want to have a transfer target because the Wanderer is getting... The closer Ethan gets to me, the more I have to worry about him coming into me and not having Divergent Path work for me. So it's important that the Skin and Moans has some transfers left.
And this is where you flipped it to me, and then I was like, you put out your Crossroads? Because it's not optional.
Yeah, I have to put out the Crossroads every turn. So I throw a couple in front to save the Skin and Moans, and then 1 behind through the wall to make sure that I can save myself from a charge. It's also worth noting I've gone to 6.
And then this is the turn I'd like to call, can I kill one of the hardest to kill warlocks in the game? So I'm down on clock. I'm down at control points. My heavies are pretty much all dead. I wasn't expecting the top one to die, but then when I missed those Nay Slayers with the throw. So here I'm moving up the Drudge unit to Psychic Spray, targeting Wanderer but staying out of Star-Crossed. And then I'm like, do you want to ruin it?
You're trying to bait me so hard.
Yeah. Or I believe that's me just pre-measuring, because I'm trying to plan this out, because like, I don't have much time. There's wreck markers in the way. As soon as I hit him once, like, my only hope is if he ruins. That's my only way to kill him.
Yep, and I know that Divergent Path on a no-camp Wanderer is the way I survived, so like, you're not getting ruined from me this turn.
I know, like, that was literally my only hope, because you put that wreck marker, or your thingy, close enough where I can maybe get to you if you teleport to it. Like, if you had just put it 6 inches behind you, I don't have a hope. And then this, I think the camera died, but I'll give you the gist of how this went down.
Yeah.
I did a boosted Breath Stealer into you. You did not ruin it. I missed. I did a second one. It hit behind the wall. And
yeah,
then,
which hurts.
But then, like, the Wrecker charged you and hit you over the wall under Star-Crossed, and then you just teleported away.
20 damage to the Skin and Moans with that charge, though. Like, that's what you're forgetting. Like, my Divergent Path transfer 20 damage to that Skin and Moans.
Well, I mean, I'm POW with the Instigator up there.
Like
I'm POW 19.
5.
Yeah.
It was gross. So,
but I knew I couldn't kill you.
Yeah. So that's kind of how the game shook out. I'm sorry for the camera dying. I decided, like, the last battle report we did, I shot in 30 frames, and it just didn't look good. And that could have been the angle, too. But I figured I'd shoot this one in 60, and that kind of has a little bit more of a drain on the battery. So the tripod that we use doesn't let me utilize the AC cord that I have for my camera. So that's a little bit of the technical behind the scenes of why this ends up happening. But the game was really interesting. I felt like right away I needed to leverage scenario because I didn't feel like there was a way I could chew through the boxes and the armor, and that ended up kind of being the opposite of it. I ended up not having too many problems chewing through your heavies. Like, I still have all 3 of my heavies, and I've taken off half of yours already.
You've taken off 3 of my 5.
Okay, yeah. So I thought it was 4 Wreckers and 1 Warden.
Yep. Because, like, even with feet, I just go up to arm 20. Like, that's just the stat line of a decent heavy, and then you got to factor in all the damage they take just from me loading them up, and then from the feet.
I know.
So,
I think we made the comment that you can really draw a decent comparison between Tormentors and the Wreckers, and there's just they just aren't. It's weird that they exist in the same realm, because like the Wreckers feel like they're just statted a few points too low, especially now since I like to say that Warmachine's kind of Yu-Gi-Oh'd the stats, and POW and armor don't matter so much anymore, and 2 extra boxes on a heavy isn't that big of a deal either. It's like, oh, 36 boxes, but when you're sitting there at arm 17 and def 10, like that's really not that big of a deal. Like,
and then when you got to damage your own guys just to load them up on focus, and then Mat 5 is the biggest killer for me. Like, you have to pay the instigator tax, and they don't get repo in theme. Like, if solos in this theme got repo, that would help tremendously to try and get the agitators in place, but it's like, I need to keep them behind me just in case you get cagey with maybe a magic attack, or I can't put them up too far because melee attacks and cast imps. But if too far behind, I can't walk around my dudes and actually get instigate up.
does hyper aggressive proc on damage or hits?
It's on damage.
Okay,
and I did not hyper aggressive at all this game because there was
you
no
didn't get
point.
the chance.
Like,
well, yeah, I mean, if you go up, then I just take it. So
I mean, you had no guns, so
I beaconed you once, but it didn't do damage.
You have to damage for hyper aggressive.
Yeah, I know. It was all in all, like, I still think Cognifex Cyphon can play a good game. It's just that this list kind of brings what he didn't want to see. The one thing he doesn't fix is hitting.
And wreckers are like, they're 14-point heavies, but it's just these days there's better 14-point heavies. Like, your Skin and Moans is 15, I think we said.
Yeah, 15 points for a Skin and Moans, and it's like it outperforms it in general, but
and then the clock is actually cheaper.
Yeah, it is. And the Clockatrice just does so much work with 3 initials that are relatively decent POW.
Like, don't get me wrong, a wrecker under feet with Instigator is a POW 22 Thresher.
Yeah, they'll crush a Colossal most times.
I mean, but that's kind of like
Dark Shroud.
That's kind of the cap. So, like, with Dark Shroud now on the list, they cap at POW 24, which isn't really... that a PS24 heavy isn't really saying much these days. Like,
I think it's saying something. It's just with all the layers of things you need on top of it, that's where it becomes a problem, because a lot of people have a lot easier time doing that for not as much investment.
Well, when you get solos these days, that can get up to POW 29. Like,
yeah,
that's
or Malvin,
Melvin and Mayhem. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, if monstrosities could run or charge for free, like not tormentors, but like hordes, like. That's one of their biggest weaknesses in my mind, is like, I got to damage them just to get the focus to run.
Yeah, so you got to beat your stuff up, and it makes it a little bit easier. It kind of like takes away the idea that they've got those extra boxes because you're the one who's taking them off.
Yeah, and like, I'd wish like the anatomical stuff instead got whatever the servitors for gas we have that just auto points.
Yeah, instead of having to just like hit and do the damage and see if you crush it.
Yeah, because there was a few rolls here where I'm like, okay, I just gave you 4 free damage on my heavy.
Yeah, I think one of those Wardens,
too well.
one of the Wrecker had 6 extra damage on it because of that stuff. And then when you do your feet too, that's another 6 on top of that. So you like did a third of your damage just through your own stuff.
Yep, just to be able to maybe kill a clock. And I still came up short. So it's like, it's hard trading those heavies when I'm killing them myself against cheaper heavies, especially when infantry can just murder a poor wrecker these days.
I did think when you were looking at that bottom wrecker, the one that couldn't come up with the Clockatrice, I think that the one thing that you did the AoE thing on him, but I think the Mindbenders have Adrenal Rush, and that's the one I thought you were doing, where they end up going like +5 POW and can...
+4.
Yeah, and then I feel if you would have done that instead of the AoE, it would have actually broke his armor and only done 4 points of damage. So I think that was probably the better way to go about it, to get him that third focus to crush the bird. But
yeah, I just didn't want to sacrifice, because that would require me, I think, killing another dredge.
Yeah, you would lose the dredge because they'd blow up at the end of the
turn. I mean, I targeted my own, because I like the dredges on this list are mostly for Cyphon, just the sack to get +5 range and to escort the doctor up the board, because he has sack, pawn, dredge.
Yep.
Or drudge. So they don't do much, and that's why they hung out back most of the game. Normally, like the concussion blasts, the psychic assault sprays, but it's just, I need them so Cyphon doesn't have to go into the danger zone.
Yeah, and you don't want to put more of them in your list by taking away from your heavies and support.
And if the doctor goes down, like that's a huge hit to the list.
Yeah, and I don't have the tools to scalpel. Like maybe the Gorehound's the closest I can get, but I wasn't going to be able to touch Stygies.
Like if I don't have the Drudges next to him for sack pawn, like an assault spray just kills him.
Yeah, that's right.
And your repudiates, you rolled 3 for damage each
one.
done. So like Cyphon took 6 damage just from repudiates. So like
yeah, that was scary.
You 1/3 healthed him without ever attacking him.
Yep, and the Baron can shoot at repudiate as well, which is really the reason why he's in here. So like going into the Resolutes could have been nice to take perseverance off and then just keep shooting you for that damage. But the Baron was just being a butt and getting chunked up in the back.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. We've definitely got more coming in the future, like always. Leave a comment below if you play either of these factions and would have done something differently. Otherwise, we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace out.